A very good afternoon, all of you. I'm Nagakumar. Welcome back to the Java certification program from Microsoft. So we'll just get into the today's session. Till yesterday, we have seen some basic programming in Java. So yesterday we have stopped our discussion at date time. So we'll continue with the date time or the date class in Java in detail. आज के दिन में हम लोग हमारे जहाँ पे हम लोग रुक गए थे डेट टाइम पे हम लोग वहाँ पे डेट टाइम से अभी हम लोग कंटिन्यू करेंगे। जावा में जो डेट क्लास है वो डेट क्लास और डिटेलली हम लोग देखेंगे और कुछ प्रोग्राम आज डेट टाइम पे हम लोग करेंगे। यू एवरी डे इट इज़ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट वी अंडरस्टैंड द वेटेज ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस and continue learning according to the weightage of the questions. And of the entire syllabus, data types, variables and expressions have more weightage, so we concentrate more on that. I repeat, हमारे ये स्लाइड को हम लोग हर दिन दिखा रहे हैं इसलिए कि हम समझ सके कौन सा टॉपिक का वेटेज ज़्यादा है, यानी कौन से टॉपिक से ज़्यादा क्वेश्चंस आएंगे, कौन से टॉपिक से कम क्वेश्चन आएंगे, वो देख के हम लोग कुछ टॉपिक्स जो इम्पोर्टेंट है उनके ऊपर ध्यान ज़्यादा दे देते हैं ताकि हमको अच्छा परसेंटेज आ जाए। एंड मिनिमम स्कोर टू क्लियर दिस सर्टिफिकेशन एग्जाम इज 70%। ये मिनिमम जो आपको परसेंटेज लाना है सर्टिफिकेट लाने के लिए वो 70% है। 70% मिनिमम लाना चाहिए ताकि आपको सर्टिफिकेट आ सके। तो हम लोग प्रोग्रामिंग में चले जाते हैं। जो हम लोगों ने कल डेट क्लास का स्टार्ट किया है उसका थोड़ा बहुत थियरी समझ लेते हैं एंड बाद में हम लोग प्रोग्रामिंग में जाते हैं। सो वी विल अंडरस्टैंड द बेसिक्स ऑफ डेट क्लास in detail theoretically and then we'll get into the programs. Now to look at the date class is a class which represents the time, the instance of time in milliseconds. Basically whatever the millisecond value that we have it, that millisecond is captured and that is being shown as time. I repeat, हमको जो ये डेट टाइम क्लास है वो हमको टाइम दिखाता है, वो टाइम पूरा हमको मिली सेकेंड्स में कैप्चर होता है। ये टाइम दिखाने के लिए हम लोग कुछ मेथड्स यूज़ करते हैं। वो मेथड्स यहाँ पे आपको स्क्रीन पे दिखा रहे हैं। वो कुछ डेट क्लास को अगर डेट क्लास यूज़ करना है तो डेट क्लास के अंदर एक मेथड यूज़ करते हैं, यानी मैं नोटपैड पे लिख के आपको बताऊंगा। मैं यहाँ पे लिख लिया हूँ क्लास सैम्पल, और इसके अंदर जब हम लोग लिख रहे हैं तो हम लोग लिखते हैं पब्लिक स्टैटिक वॉइड मेन एंड इसके अंदर हम लोग लिखते हैं स्ट्रिंग आर्ग्स एंड उसके बाद हम लोग लिखते हैं ये मेन मेथड के अंदर हम लोग अपना प्रोग्राम लिखते हैं। सो आई रिपीट, whatever the program that we write it in this main method and in a class like this. Now whenever you want to utilize your date, now we utilize our date as an object, dt equal to new dt, new date. Now this date is a class. Now this date is a class. Now your dt is an object. Now this dt is my object of the class date. Now to utilize this particular date, we can call this object and do it. We can call this object and utilize the values. ये object को use करते हुए whenever you are printing it, if you could remember the yesterday's program, we were writing it as system.out.println and we were writing it as current date is nothing but plus dt. This is what we have been writing. अगर हम लोग देखते हैं तो हमारा कल का प्रोग्राम बस ऐसा ही था। Now we are using this object directly. I am able to use this because there is a constructor which is helping us. That constructor is nothing but your methods that are written here, like date long milliseconds, date int year, int method, int date. All these are your constructors. Now we'll first understand what is a constructor. So we'll keep this as it is. We'll open another notepad. So here we'll start writing it and understand what is a constructor. हम लोग यहाँ पे समझते हैं ये constructor क्या होता है. हम लोग जो देखे थे वो constructs हम लोग देखे थे. ये constructs है for loop, while loop, data types, all these are constructs. अभी the constructs that we have seen are while loop, if loop, data types, all those are constructs of a program. Now we are not talking about these constructs. We are talking about something called constructor. Now this constructor is a method. Like as you have been writing your main method, so on, is a method. So the speciality of this method is the method name will be same as the class name. Say for example, if at all I write class sample, and in the sample, if at all I start writing a main method, say in the class I start writing it as public static void main, and then I'll write it as string args, and then I'll just put it. In this we write our main method and we are closing our class. Now assume apart from this main method, if at all I have another method called public sample. Assume if I have another method like this. Now this method is called constructor of this particular class. I repeat, whenever you write a class, if the class has a method which is same as your class name, then that method is called constructor of that class. Now the sample class has a constructor which is written over here, which will look like a method with the same name of the class. अगर हम लोग ये कंस्ट्रक्टर देखते हैं तो कंस्ट्रक्टर एक ऐसा मेथड है जिस मेथड का नाम क्लास नेम से मिलता जुलता रहेगा, सेम रहेगा. सो क्लास नेम जो है सैम्पल is same as my method name called sample. As I have sample as both of them, then my method is called constructor. I repeat, a method which has the same name of a class is called constructor. Right? Abhi, we understand what is the importance of this. The importance of this is the first method that gets executed in a class is constructor. I repeat, मैं फिर से बता रहा हूँ, in any class the first method that gets executed is a constructor. मैं फिर से रिपीट कर रहा हूँ, हर एक क्लास में फर्स्ट जो मेथड होता है, फर्स्ट मेथड जो एग्जीक्यूट होता है वो मेथड है कंस्ट्रक्टर. अगर हम लोग ये नहीं भी लिखते हैं, if at all we don't write this also, by default it will search for the default constructor, and if the default constructor is not available, then it will go to the main method and the main method gets executed. The first thing, the program execution starts from main, but class execution starts from constructor. I repeat, मैं फिर से repeat कर रहा हूँ, हमारा प्रोग्राम का एग्जीक्यूशन स्टार्ट होता है मेन मेथड से, लेकिन एक क्लास का एग्जीक्यूशन स्टार्ट होता है कंस्ट्रक्टर से. एक हम जब प्रोग्राम एग्जीक्यूट करना स्टार्ट करते हैं तो हमारा कंट्रोल पहले मेन पे जाएगा. मेन पे जाने के बाद जब वो क्लास का एग्जीक्यूट करना स्टार्ट करता है तो वो पहले कंस्ट्रक्टर को सर्च करेगा, कंस्ट्रक्टर को एग्जीक्यूट करेगा, बाद में उसका जो भी फंक्शनैलिटी हम लोग लिखते हैं वो फंक्शनैलिटी एग्जीक्यूट होता है. So the first thing that gets executed is constructor, and the first method the program execution starts from main, and the first method that executes in a class is nothing but your constructor. Now जैसा हमारा ये सैंपल यहाँ पे दिखा रहे हैं, इसी तरह अगर हम लोग जावा देखते हैं, डेट क्लास इन जावा. Once you search as date class in Java, then once you get into your Oracle, then in the Oracle, if at all you look at, in the Oracle website, if at all you look at, you have the complete description of class. क्लास कैसा होता है, क्लास के लिए, क्लास के अंदर कंस्ट्रक्टर्स क्या है, मेथड्स क्या है, सब कुछ यहाँ पे लिस्ट आउट किया हुआ है. आप यहाँ पे देख के आप समझ सकते हो. ये पर्टिकुलर डेट क्लास में अगर हम लोग देखते हैं तो ये कुछ चीज़ें यहाँ पे लिखे हुए हैं कि कंस्ट्रक्टर कौन सा है, मेथड कौन सा है, एंड ऑल दैट. सो यू कैन लर्न ऑल इन डिटेल फ्रॉम हियर. But the gist of that, if at all you look at whatever the important things of that are listed out in my presentation, if at all you look at, if you look at this, now as we have date class given in Java library, ये जहाँ यहाँ पे अगर हम लोग देखते हैं तो ये जावा का लाइब्रेरी है. अगर ये जावा, ये डेट क्लास अगर हम लोग देखते हैं तो ये जावा में यूटिल में हमारा डेट है. जैसा हम लोग यस्टरडेज क्लास में हम लोग देख चुके हैं, जावा के अंदर यूटिल पैकेज था, यूटिल के अंदर हम लोग बाकी के क्लासेस ऑब्जर्व कर रहे थे. सिमिलरली यहाँ पे अगर हम लोग देखते हैं तो जावा डॉट यूटिल डॉट डेट कहते हुए हम लोग यूज करते हैं. आई रिपीट, एज वी हैव सीन इन द यस्टरडेज क्लास, your Java package has a util package in it, and util package has some classes in it. Now those classes are utilized. Similarly, we have a class called date class, which can be utilized as java.util.date. Now when I'm using this date class, I should need my constructor to execute. As I've told you, sample is my class, and sample was my method with the same, as it has the same name of the class, it is called as a constructor. Similarly, our date also has constructors. See, date also has a constructor which looks exactly like date class. If at all you look at date class is given as capital DATE. Similarly, my constructor is a method which is capital DATE, which means, which is the same name of a class, which means it is a constructor. Now whenever you don't have anything, if at all you don't have anything in the parenthesis, you don't have anything in the brackets, अगर ये brackets में कुछ नहीं होता है, then that is called default constructor. मैं फिर से बता रहा हूँ, the default constructor is a method which doesn't have any parameters, and the name of the method is same as the name of the class. मैं फिर से रिपीट कर रहा हूँ, कंस्ट्रक्टर एक ऐसा मेथड है वो क्लास नेम से एग्जैक्टली इक्वल रहेगा, यानी क्लास नेम जो रहेगा उसी का हमारा मेथड नेम होता है, वो मेथड को हम लोग कंस्ट्रक्टर कहते हैं. एक डिफॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर ऐसा कंस्ट्रक्टर होता है जहाँ पे अपना ये जो मेथड का जो पैरेंथेसिस होते हैं, ये मेथड का जो ब्रैकेट्स होते हैं, उनमें कुछ वैल्यू नहीं पास करते हैं. दैट इज कॉल्ड योर डिफॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर. वी डोंट पास एनी आर्ग्यूमेंट्स. नाउ दैट पर्टिकुलर कंस्ट्रक्टर दैट वी हैव इट इन मल्टीपल वेज. अगर हम लोग ये डेट क्लास में अगर देखते हैं तो एक डिफॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर है एंड बाकी के कुछ और कंस्ट्रक्टर्स भी पड़े हुए हैं. यानी if at all you look at my notepad, this is my default constructor for my sample class. Now I have another constructor public sample, and इसके अंदर जो रहेगा I'll accept string str. Now this is my overloaded constructor. This is my default constructor. The first one is my default constructor, and the second one is a constructor with a single parameter. Now this is called a default constructor, and this is called a constructor with a single parameter. Now if at all we look at, हमारा जो यहाँ पे कंस्ट्रक्टर्स दिख रहे हैं, आई हैव अ डिफॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर, आई हैव अ डिफॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर विद अ सिंगल पैरामीटर, एंड I have my default constructor with multiple parameters. I have constructor implemented in multiple ways. यानी अगर यहाँ पे देखते हैं तो हमको एक कंस्ट्रक्टर मल्टीपल तरीके में हम लोगों को अवेलेबल है. अगर हम लोग फर्स्ट वन अगर देख लेते हैं तो ये डिफ़ॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर रहेगा. ये हर वक्त करंट डेट और टाइम कैप्चर करेगा. ये जो डिफ़ॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर है, ये डिफ़ॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर हर वक्त करंट डेट और करंट टाइम देता है. आई रिपीट, this default constructor will always try to give us the current date and current time. Now if at all you look at the first date constructor with a single parameter, it has something called long milliseconds. This long milliseconds parameter is a parameter which creates a date. It creates a date by calculating the difference between January 1, 1970 to current date, whatever the milliseconds value that you give it. If at all you give 1000, then it will take 1000 as milliseconds. So that's how it will take parameters. It will calculate everything in milliseconds. That's how we have the second constructor that we have it. The first constructor is default constructor, which will capture current time and date. And the second constructor will calculate the time in milliseconds starting from January 1, 1970. Sir, why it is January 1, 1970? It is because the definition was given as such. The class definition was given from then. By default, if at all you look at the implementation of Java class, the Java class which was written by the Java developers, they have made it as the default value, the starting value as January 1st, 1970. Similarly, the third one, if at all you look at, which will accept three parameters, that is year, month and date. I repeat, we have the third constructor which will accept three parameters, which is your integer values, that is integer years, integer months and integer dates. Similarly, the fourth one, if at all you look at, the fourth one will also accept multiple parameters, that is it will accept 5 parameters, that is year, month, date, hours and minutes. So as in you have got in this example one parameter, that is string str, one parameter. Similarly, here we have got multiple parameters. Say if it is single parameter, then the next one is multiple parameters. This is how you give multiple parameters. Now here we have got multiple parameters listed out. So here the first one is default, which will not have any parameter, which will give me current date and time. Second one will accept long values, which will be in your milliseconds. And the third one will accept your three integer values, that is int years, int months and int dates. And then the next one that we look at, the fourth one, which will accept int years, int months, int dates and int hours and int minutes. And the next one, if at all you look at, it is similar to the above two, which will accept int years, int months, int dates, int hours, int minutes, and additionally it will accept int seconds also. And the last type that we have it, last constructor type that we have it, is it will accept string type values. It will accept string type values. This is how we have got constructors available. But the problem is these constructors are outdated. See, these are the deprecated constructors, which means the constructors which are said to be outdated. The constructors that we look at here are outdated. If at all you look at the current one called your date constructor, your date of int years, int months and int date, whatever the constructor that we have seen, that is outdated, because starting from the earlier version we have got something called calendar.set, and we have been given an option like this. In the JDK itself, in the Java development kit itself, they have updated it and we are using it as calendar.set. Similarly, the other methods that we have seen, whatever the last methods that we have seen, all of them are deprecated, which means after you have only these two, date with default constructor and date with long milliseconds are still working. All the remaining four are deprecated. It is because all these are given with an alternative. All these are given with a better functionality in Java JDK. So this JDK is helping us in order to make it much better, much correct, much accurate, much easy in usage. That's how we have got new things replaced. If at all you look at for your date, we have got two replacements available. If at all you are using a regular calendar, don't worry, I'll tell you about this calendar also. Calendar is also a class. Gregorian calendar is also a class. You utilize them. So you can use your calendar or Gregorian calendar, and you can create your date with the help of years, months and date. Similarly, you can also use it for minutes and hours also, and similarly you can do it for minutes, hours and seconds also. And similarly, as we were taking it as date string of yes, that is replaced with your date format dot parse. This parsing is available, because of which this particular date constructor is deprecated. So if you look at altogether, we have got six constructors that are available, but these six constructors, out of which four of them are deprecated and two of them are used. Deprecated in which means उससे बेहतर लॉजिक ऑलरेडी अवेलेबल है, उससे अच्छा लॉजिक हमारे पास ऑलरेडी अवेलेबल है, हम लोग वो यूज करके कोड कर सकते हैं. यानी डेट क्लास जो है वो बहुत महत्वपूर्ण क्लास है, उसको यूज करके हम लोग कई प्रोग्राम करते हैं. बहुत सारे प्रोग्राम्स हम लोग ये डेट टाइम पे डिपेंडेंट हुए प्रोग्राम्स बहुत सारे करते हैं. सो इसमें से जो कंस्ट्रक्टर है वो बहुत बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट होता है. So it is very important that we use date class, and also especially the constructors of the date class are very important to learn. Now out of which these two constructors, that is default constructor and date constructor with long milliseconds, are still in use, and all the remaining constructors are deprecated, and you have the alternatives available in your JDK. I repeat everything. हमारा जो डेट क्लास है, डेट क्लास में जो हमारा डेट कंस्ट्रक्टर है, वो कंस्ट्रक्टर जो डिफ़ॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर है वो कंस्ट्रक्टर, और जो डेट कंस्ट्रक्टर है जिसमें लॉन्ग वैल्यूज़ एक्सेप्ट कर रहे हैं, ये दोनों कंस्ट्रक्टर आज के दिन में भी हम लोग यूज़ कर रहे हैं. और बाकी के जितने भी मेरे स्लाइड पे दिख रहे हैं, चार जो मेरे स्लाइड पे दिख रहे हैं बाकी के, ये चार कंस्ट्रक्टर डिप्रिकेटेड है. यानी इससे और बेहतर कोड हमारे पास अवेलेबल है, यानी जेडीके में अवेलेबल है, जेडीके में इम्प्लीमेंटेड है, उसको यूज़ करके हम लोग और इजीली और बेहतरीन प्रोग्राम हम लोग लिख सकते हैं. That's something called your deprecated constructors of date class. I wanted to tell this theory only because you will have multiple choice questions on this. Say which method, which constructor is used appropriately, then you should use the constructor which is now working, which is not deprecated. जो हम लोग मल्टीपल चॉइस में चूज करते हैं उसमें से ऐसा चूज करना होगा जो डिप्रिकेटेड नहीं है, सॉरी, यानी जो डिप्रिकेट हुआ है उसका ऑल्टरनेटिव जैसा यहाँ पे दिखा रहे हैं वो ऑल्टरनेटिव के साथ ऑप्शन रहेगा. अगर ऑल्टरनेट में कुछ गलत है तो वो ऑप्शन सही नहीं है. सो दैट्स हाउ यू विल हैव टू चूज बेस्ड ऑन द अवेलेबल और रेडिली यूजेबल कंस्ट्रक्टर्स. So now we look at the important methods that we have it in your date class. Now the date class has certain methods available. The three methods that we look at commonly are your after, before and equal. I repeat, the three common methods that we look at is after, before and equals. So these three methods will help me out in order to compare the two dates. When you compare the two dates, if the date is after the given date, if the date is after the given date or after the given date, then in those kind of cases we can use your after method which returns true. आई रिपीट, हम लोग एक दो डेट को कंपेयर करने के लिए, हम लोग दो डेट को कंपेयर करने के लिए तीन मेथड यूज करते हैं. वो मेथड है आफ्टर, बिफोर एंड इक्वल्स. आफ्टर मेथड इसलिए यूज करते हैं यानी कि हमारा जो डेट है वो उसके बाद है कि पहले है. अगर वो बाद में है तो आफ्टर है तो बुलियन वैल्यू ट्रू हो जाता है. सिमिलरली हमारा जो बिफोर है वो बिफोर यानी पहले का जो आई मीन आगे का और जो पहले का होता है वो डेट का कंपैरिजन देता है, बिफोर वैल्यू एंड आफ्टर वैल्यू. एंड देयर इज अनदर मेथड व्हिच विल एक्सेप्ट इक्वल्स वैल्यू. सो यू कंपेयर टू डेट्स by using three methods called after, before and equals. And there is another method that is directly available to compare it, to compare the given date with the current date. This particular compare to method will always compare and return us 0 if today's date and the given date are equal. I repeat, I will compare two dates, that is the current date and the given date. If at all you look at the earlier three methods are used to compare a given date with another date and we'll check whether it is after, before or equal. Now we will use compare to method to check the given date with the current date. And when the current date is being utilized, in that case if the current date is given with an current date is equal, then in that case it will return 0, and if the value is less than, then also it will return before as an argument, and if it is greater then it will return after as a argument. I repeat, अगर equal होता है तो compare to method जब यूज कर रहे हैं तो अगर आज गिवन डेट आज का डेट से अगर मैच होता है तो वो इक्वल देगा पैरामीटर, नहीं तो आफ्टर पैरामीटर देगा. अगर वो पहले आगे है तो वो ग्रेटर डेट यानी आफ्टर डेट देगा. इफ इट इज लेस देन इट विल गिव अस बिफोर आर्ग्यूमेंट. if it is after, then it will give us after argument. That is how you utilize a method called compare to. You have three things, that is first one is your boolean value of getting your before, after, equals, and then you have compare to method which compares, and then you have something called your get time which returns the date in milliseconds. Get time will return your date time in milliseconds. I repeat, whenever you use get time method you will get the date, you will receive the date in milliseconds. And whenever you use set time, get time, set time, whenever you use set time, then whatever the input that you give, accordingly the date gets changed. Get time is to read the date and set time is to give the new date, to insert the new date. We use set time. मैं फिर से पूरा रिपीट कर रहा हूँ. अगर हमारा डेट कंपेयर करना चाहते हैं तो तीन ऑप्शंस पड़े हुए हैं, आफ्टर, बिफोर एंड इक्वल्स. नाउ आफ्टर विल गिव अस आफ्टर डेट एंड बिफोर विल गिव अस बिफोर डेट. एंड व्हेनेवर जब भी हम लोग कंपेयर टू यूज करते हैं, अगर हमारा डेट आज के डेट से अगर कंपेयर करते हैं तो अगर वो दोनों इक्वल बनते हैं, जो गिवन डेट और आज का डेट अगर सेम होता है तो हमारा रिटर्न वैल्यू जो होता है वो 0 होता है, विच मीन्स वो इक्वल्स कहलाता है. अगर वो कम होता है तो वो बिफोर डेट देता है. अगर वो कंपेयर करके आज के डेट से ज़्यादा होता है तो वो बोलता है कि आफ्टर डेट बोलता है. So that's how it will return my values. And then it will also tell us that the values that is being returned, whether it is equal or whether it is less or whether it is more, then accordingly it will give the values. If it is equal, then it gives 0. If it is less than, then it will give you a value which is less than 0. And whenever you go with bigger date or a higher date or a greater date, then it will give me a positive value than 0. And एक जो यहाँ पे गेट टाइम और सेट टाइम जो है, गेट टाइम मिली सेकेंड्स में डेट को प्रिंट करता है या रीड करता है, एंड सेट टाइम जो होता है वो हम लोग नया डेट लिखने के लिए, नया डेट डालने के लिए, नया डेट देने के लिए हम लोग ये सेट टाइम यूज करते हैं. दिस इज हाउ वी यूटिलाइज योर सेट टाइम एंड योर गेट टाइम मेथड्स in your date class. Now this is how we have it for your date class. Now we look at all of these things with the help of your examples. Now to write the example, let me just open up my IntelliJ IDEA. Now हम लोग कल के दिन में हम लोग एक प्रोग्राम ऑलरेडी कर चुके हैं. हम लोग कल के दिन में एक प्रोग्राम ऑलरेडी कर चुके हैं. वो प्रोग्राम है करंट डेट प्रिंट करने के लिए. So yesterday we have done a program to print the current date. Now what we will do, we will try to take three dates, and then we try to check whether it is before, after or equals to. So to do it, now what I will do, I will now take date. This I am able to use date because I am using util.star. I can also use it as util.date. I can also use it as util.date. I am using util.star because I want to use the entire util package. So I am writing it as util.star. Now I'll write it as your date dt1 equals to new date. And in this, as I have told you, if at all I don't give any value, and if at all I use it as system.out.println, then in that case, if at all I give it as dt1, and run it, जब हम इसको एग्जीक्यूट करते हैं तो आज का डेट टाइम दे रहा है मुझे. दिस इज योर डिफॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर. आई एम यूजिंग माई डिफॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर. नाउ इफ एट ऑल आई वांट टू पास सम पैरामीटर जो हम लोगों ने यहाँ देख चुके हैं. सो वी हैव सीन इट हियर विद एग्जांपल्स. See, you can give your int year, int month and int date. Now I use that constructor. So I have told you it is deprecated. Deprecated means I have a better option, but it doesn't say it is not available. See, it says this is all deprecated. You cannot use this. So now once I write it, I'll give it as 2000, 11, and once I give it as 21. See, this is how I have got my values, that is year, month and date. This is by default. You need not have to write it. You need not have to write it as year colon 2000, month colon 11 and date colon 21. But it is given by my ID. My IntelliSense is helping me. IntelliSense is making me to read my code properly. So it is giving me. But ideally, you can write the same thing as your date of 2000, 11, 21. मैं ऐसा ही लिख रहा हूँ. I am writing it the same, but as I am using IntelliJ IDEA, it is representing it like this, that this is year, this is month and this is date. You need not have to write this. You can just write it as date like this. Now once I run this, Once I run this, then see, this is what is my current date. Current date, it says it is it is 2000, and then it is returning me my values. Now if at all I want to compare this, now what I'll do, I'll take one default constructor, then I'll take another constructor with a parameter just to understand the existing methods and properties of your date class. So I'm using date2 equals to, we will write a program to understand the date class methods, right? So now what we will do, we'll call it as new date, and in the new date I'll just give it as 2000 comma, I'll give it as 12 comma 10. Now this is how I'll give it as year, month and date. Similarly, I'll give another date dt3 equals to new date of, I want to give it as 2021 comma 10 comma 10. I want to give it as 10th month comma 10th day. Now once I just go ahead and print it, system.out.println dt1 system.out.println dt2. Similarly, I'll print it as system.out.println and I'll call it as dt3. Now once we just go ahead and run this, then see, I'll get multiple dates. I'll get the proper year of this and the older values of my last year and the current year or the next year. So it is giving me the randomized values, because see, it is not giving me correct values because these methods are being deprecated. It's not giving me exactly the same. So that's how it is calculating the values. Say I'll give it as 1997 and then run this again. Now you see, you get this deprecated, because of which it will not be correct always. So that's how the converted values are being shown. Now what I wanted to see is, I want to compare and make use of this after, before and compare to methods. To use it, now I'll write it boolean as I have written in the document here, as I have given it in the presentation. We can use this before and after by using boolean, and we can also use equals with the help of your boolean. So now I'll write it boolean a equals to your d2 dt2 dot after, and then we want to give it as dt1, which means it is comparing it with the current date. Now the d2 is compared with d1, and then we will try to see what is the output. Now we'll write it system.out.println, and here in the println I'll write it d2 is dt2 is compared with dt1, and then we'll give it as plus a. Once we run this, now dt2 is my old date and dt1 is my current date. When I write it as after, then we will see what is the output. Once we run this, see, dt1 is true. When I compare dt2 with dt1, when I am comparing dt2 with dt1, which is true, which means your dt1 is after dt2. dt1 is after dt2, which means dt2 is older and dt1 is newer. Now we'll look at another example, which we will now do it. Boolean b equals to dt3 dot before, and then we will write it as dt1. ये dt3 हमारा नया डेट है, यानी फ्यूचर डेट है. d3 हमारा फ्यूचर डेट है, 21 वाला डेट है. हम लोग अभी 20 में है, सो हम लोग 21 का डेट दे रहे हैं एंड वी आर चेकिंग अप विथ बिफोर. व्हेन वी check with before, we are writing it as system dot out dot println, and here we are writing it as dt3 is compared with dt1. When I am just comparing it, I am giving it as plus b. When I run this, see, it will compare my d1 d3 with d1. I am comparing my d3 with d1. So once I am comparing it with d3 with d1, d3 यानी 2021 dot before of d1. No, it is not before of d1. So if at all we give it as dt1, which is compared with dt3, then in that case, if at all you run it, see, it is giving me as true enough. So this is how you work with something called your before and after methods, or before and after parameters in your date. Similarly, we can use something called your compare to. Now once we want to use compare to, I'll give it as int c equals to. I'm using boolean here because it will return true or false. But when I'm using compare to, I have told you the important thing, it will return 0 or less than 0 or greater than 0. When it is comparing, when I'm using compare to, it will return either less value or greater value. If the date and the current date are equal, then it will give me the 0 value. So to identify that, we just come back here and now just check it. We'll just compare d1 dot dt1 dot compare to, we write it as dt2. Once I give it as dt2, dt2 is nothing but your old date, dt1 is nothing but is your current date, so which is older date and a newer date. Once I am comparing it and once I want to print it, say system dot out dot println, and the return value of compare to is, I am giving it as plus c. In this case, once I run my code, see, if at all I look at my value here, it is returning -1. Once you look at my dt1 is my current date, which is 2020. Now I am giving the d2 is an older date. As it is an older date, it is giving me -1. If at all I go ahead and give my dt3, which is my future year, that is 21. If at all I give my future year here, if at all I run it, if at all I give my future year here, see, once you look at when it is being compared with dt1, the older value with the newer value, it is giving me as negative. Once I start comparing it with dt2 and dt1, once I start comparing it in the reverse order, See, you have the value as positive value, wherein dt2 is my old value and dt1 is my new value. When I start comparing it like this, when you compare your old value with a new value, then obviously you have positive. When you compare the old value with the new value, then you have the negative. So hope everybody is clear. If it is less, then it will give you minus. If it is more, then it will give you positive. If it is equal, say I'll write it as dt1 is compared with dt1. I'm comparing dt1 with dt1. I'm comparing both of them together. dt1 is compared with dt1, which means current date is compared with current date. When I compare the current date with current date, see, it is returning a value 0. When the dates are equal, it returns 0. When the dates comparison is less, then it gives me negative. When the dates comparison is more, then it will be positive. Hope I am clear with this. Hope I am clear with this particular example to understand Boolean values, that is your after, before and compare to. Similarly, you can also look at the Boolean value equals. You can also write it as Boolean D equals to dt1 dot equals, and we'll put it as dt1. Once it is equal, it will return me true. Once I run this, so I haven't printed it anywhere, so let me just print that also. I'll just come back and print it. System dot out dot println, and I'll just give it as the equals will return, I'll put it as plus D. Whenever I give it like this, see what has happened. I am comparing dt1 with dt1, which means I am comparing the current date with current date. So that Boolean value will return true because I am comparing the same date, so the value will be true. See, when I am looking at it, the comparison value equals value is true. It is returning a true value because I am comparing the same date with the same date. If at all I give it as dt2 or dt3, then obviously it will return me false because both the dates are not equal. See, it is returning me false. This is how we understand the methods that are there in your date time or date class, that is nothing but your before, after, and then equals, and then compare to. Hope everybody is clear with this four methods that I've discussed here. Now what we will do, we will now let me just copy this. Hope everybody is able to look at my screen. I have increased the font size. Somebody have been asking us to make it more and more clear, so we have increased the font size. Please confirm us if this is visible or not. If you wanted it to be more, we will also increase the size. Date class methods. Right, now we'll write another program to understand. As I have told you, there is something called Gregorian calendar or the calendar that I have told you. To get that calendar, we will understand how to write the program, or we will also look at how to utilize the calendar also. For the time being, we'll understand how to utilize the Gregorian calendar. Once you wanted to use the Gregorian calendar, we should know the four parameters. We wanted to capture the four parameters. Most of the time when you want to capture the date and time, then you have four parameters to understand. Sorry, you have six parameters to understand. Those six parameters are: for date, if at all you look at, the parameters are year, comma month, comma date. This is what is required for your date. Similarly, when you wanted it for time, then again you will have your three parameters, that is your hours, and then your minutes, and then your seconds. So these are the six parameters that we wanted to learn out of it, or we wanted to create on our own, or we wanted to capture by using any of the calendars. Ideally, why do you use our calendar? We use our calendar to see what is the today's date, or how many days that you have between two given dates, or what is, if at all you look at the online calendars today, we'll also talk about date and the time. If at all you look at manual calendars, that whatever हम जो हमारे घर पे रहते हैं वो कैलेंडर्स में बस हम लोग डेट देखते हैं, डेट मंथ ईयर देखते हैं, लेकिन हमारा जो ऑनलाइन कैलेंडर रहेगा उसमें डेट के साथ हम लोग टाइम भी चेक करते हैं और टाइम को भी कंपेयर करते जाते हैं। इसलिए हमारे पास हाँ छः पैरामीटर होते हैं। ये छः पैरामीटर वो होते हैं ईयर, मंथ, डेट, hours, minutes and seconds. Now we try to get this date time with all these parameters with the help of something called Gregorian calendar. So we call it as Gregorian calendar. Now to go ahead and do this, now what we do, we try to take up the values, whatever the values that we wanted, whatever the date, time, month, date, year and month, similarly hour, minute and second, whatever we wanted it, those variables we just go ahead and create. जो भी हमको चाहिए उनका हम लोग वेरिएबल क्रिएट कर लेते हैं. So I'll create it as int day, comma, month, comma, year. Similarly, I'll create it for time also, which is nothing but your second, minute, and then I'll call the third option as hour. So this is how we have got it as hour. So this is how we have created the variables. Now what is that we wanted was, we wanted to go ahead and create a Gregorian calendar. So once we create a Gregorian calendar, I'll call it as GC, Gregorian calendar, GC equal to new Gregorian calendar. New Gregorian calendar. Now this is how I have created my calendar. Now I can utilize this calendar. I am able to utilize this Gregorian calendar because I am writing something called util here. If at all I don't import this util package, then I cannot get this Gregorian calendar. If you want this Gregorian calendar, you should ensure that this util package is being utilized, or you can also write it as util.Gregorian calendar. As we were writing it as util.date, as we were writing it, similarly we can also write it as Gregorian calendar. We can also write it as Gregorian calendar. Now if at all you look at, I might need date and also I might need my Gregorian calendar. In that case I should write it as import space java dot util dot star, sorry, util dot date. Now see, I am using the same util package, but the first class was Gregorian calendar and the second class is date. Now I am using the same classes which are part of util. In that case, instead of writing it for multiple times, you just take this off and you will put it as star, so that all the classes of util package are utilized. Now once this is over, now once this Gregorian calendar is created, now we wanted to create the date, month, year, second, minute and hour. To do it, what we can just do is, we can just go ahead and put it as date equals to whatever the date that I have utilized. It is nothing but day, no? I have written it as day. Day equals to I'll just put it as my Gregorian calendar gc dot get. I have told you we use get method to get the date. So as I have told you, I am using my get method to get the date. So I am writing it as get, and in that I open it up and write it as calendar dot day of the month. I just go ahead and put it as dot day of the month. So once I put it, I get it day of the month. So don't worry, there is something called day of the year also. Please don't worry, I will explain it to you. There is something called day of the year, day of the week, all this is there. For the time being, I am using day of the month. I'll tell you why so many things are there. Please don't worry on that front. As of now, please do understand only this. We have something called calendar dot day of the month. This is how we are utilizing day of the month over here. So extra parenthesis is there. I'll remove it. Now similarly, to get month also, we'll put it as gc dot get, and in that we'll put it as again calendar dot, we put it as your month, right, and then we put it, we close it. Similarly, to get it year, we'll call it as year equals to gc dot get, and then we'll put it as calendar dot year. This is how you get your day, month and year. You will get this for date. You got your date now. You got these three parameters now from the Gregorian calendar. Now you wanted to get it from, get the time also. To get the time, we just come back and write it. To get the time, we will write it your seconds equals to gc dot get seconds, which is nothing but calendar dot your second, calendar dot second. Similarly, we'll put it as your minutes equals to your gc dot get of calendar dot your minute. Similarly, you write it as hours, hour equal to gc dot get, and in that calendar dot your hour dot hour, right? So this is how we get it something called seconds, your minutes, your hours and so on. And then when you wanted to print it, you can just print it as system.out.println, and in that you can just give it as your day comma day plus, I'll give it as some space, and then I'll give it as say plus, I'll give it as month plus, I'll give it as some space here, and then I'll give it as plus, and then I'll just go ahead and give it as year. Once you just go ahead and print this, then see, you will get the date, month and year of the Gregorian calendar. So once we run this, once we look at it, see today's date 23, and we are getting a month which is third month based on the Gregorian calendar, and then you are getting the year as 2020. So this is how you get your values. So whatever I am getting it here as 3, because now third month is third month, and then it is going ahead with 2020. And similarly, when you want to get it as your seconds also, your time value also, you will put it as system.out.println, and in that we just go ahead and give it as your hour plus space, again plus, again I want to give some space in the string, again plus, I'm sorry, here I'll give it as hours, minutes, and again plus and some space, and again plus I'll give it as seconds. Once I just come back and print this up, I'll get the, I'll see I get minutes, your hours, minutes, and your seconds values. This is how you get your values with the help of your Gregorian calendar. Now, to understand this Gregorian calendar in detail, so we will come back from the break, we will give our attendance, and after that we understand this Gregorian calendar in detail, and we'll also look at how we can build with the help of calendar also. I repeat, look at this. See, I'm making you understand here. We have to just write Gregorian calendar GC equal to new Gregorian calendar. With the help of this object, by using your get method, you can call all the different parameters like day, month, year, your seconds, and so on. See, I am able to get this month here because I am calculating the completed values. Now third month is already completed. In the fourth month it is 23 days. So it is giving me 23 and 3, and then I am using it. So this is what is a difference that you have it most of the time by looking at the calendar that we normally see and the calculations here. Right? Now similarly, if at all you want to use your regular calculator, say I'll just cut this off, or I'll just copy this entire code so that I can share it with you today. And please do not go offline early, because we have some additional announcements at the end. Please stay back till the last minute of the class, because we have some more announcements for all of you. Please don't log out immediately at 3:30. So right, now in order to work with a regular calendar, if at all you want to work with a regular calendar, we can also use it as calendar C equal to new calendar, and in the calendar you can compute the values. See, by default I have got all the default overridden methods. So whatever the methods that you want to utilize, you can utilize it with the help of this. So I haven't written even a single line of code. I've just clicked on enter. See, Control Z. Once I write it as calendar equal to new calendar. See, once I click on OK, see, I get all these overridden methods. Whatever the way that I wanted to use it, I can use it. That's an advantage of using calendar. So we will not look at this calendar right now. Let us be more comfortable with the regular usage of date constructors and the Gregorian calendar. Later we will talk about how to utilize your calendar in real time. Now we look at one simple program which will tell us, once the year is entered, we should tell us whether this is a leap year or not. So once we take the input as an year, we should confirm whether that year is a leap year or not. I repeat everybody, I repeat the question again. मैं क्वेश्चन फिर से बता रहा हूँ. अगर कोई यूजर ईयर का इनपुट देता है तो हमको कंफर्म करना है कि वो लीप ईयर है कि नहीं है. सो प्रोग्राम टू एक्सेप्ट ईयर and check whether the year is leap year or not. Now to go ahead and work on it, so we'll try to go ahead and take the input from the user. To read the input from the user, we should use a class called scanner, which is also available in util. I'm using dot star, so util is scanner is already available, so I can directly write it as scanner sn equal to new scanner. Now we need to accept the input from the user, so I'll put it as system.in. Now what I would write it is, I want to give the input to the instruction to the user saying please enter the year. So I'll write it as system.out.println, and here I'll put it as please enter the year. मैं यहाँ पे यूजर को इंस्ट्रक्शन देना चाहता हूँ कि मुझे ईयर एंटर कर दे, ताकि वो ईयर को मैं चेक करूंगा कि वो लीप ईयर है कि नहीं. So I am giving this instruction to the user. After that, I wanted to take the variable, say I call this a variable as int year. Now I'll call it as year equals to sn dot next int, because I want to accept the value as integer value as an year, that is 4-digit value that I'll accept it, so I'm calling it as int year. And again, to check whether it is true or false, I am taking another variable which is a boolean variable. Whether it is a leap year or not, I should confirm. So I'll take another variable called boolean leap. I call this as your leap. So now I'll just check whether if this leap is true, then it is a leap year. If this leap is false, then if it is not a leap year. That's how I wanted to confirm. ये leap variable इसलिए ले रहा हूँ कि ये leap अगर true है तो वो leap year बनता है, ये अगर false है तो वो leap year नहीं होता है. ऐसा करके मैं प्रोग्राम लिखना चाह रहा हूँ, इसलिए मैं यहाँ पे बुलियन वैल्यू ले रहा हूँ लीप. और उसके बाद मैं अभी लिखना चाह रहा हूँ कि बाय डिफॉल्ट इसका वैल्यू मैं देना चाहता हूँ कि false. I wanted to give it as false by default, and whenever it is leap year it turns into true. So now what I do it is, I write a condition if year modulus 400 equal to 0. If this is equal to 0, then what I wanted to do is, I want to ensure that my year is a leap year. So which means leap equals to true. I convert it into true. Whenever I have this year divided by modulus 400 equal to 0, which means whenever I divide by year by 400, the remainder should be 0. In that case, it is leap year. We'll take the examples of leap year. We'll go to internet, leap years. Once you look at leap years, so is 2020, if at all you look at your leap year that we have, it is your 2000 or 1800, all these are your leap years, and you get your leap year every 4 years. Now we take the year 2012, which is considered to be a leap year. Now we just come to our notepad to understand. So our leap year is your 2012. Whenever you divide it by 500, so I'll also show you my calculator to get the outputs quickly. So once I have 2012 divided by 400, then you get it as 5.03. And similarly, you have your 2000, when it is divided by your 400, then you see you get it as 5. Now after this, once you have 2000 plus 4, you have got 2004. Once you divide this by your 400, See, you get your modulus value as 5. Now I am considering this as an integer value, so I will lose these values all the time. So that's how I make my year as whenever I divide this, say I'll just go back to my program. Whenever I divide this year, modulus of 400, that should be equal to 0. Then I'll make it as true. And then the second one that I will look at is else if I'll just go ahead and look at year modulus 100 is equal to 0. Similarly, I have it for जैसा 400 के लिए किया था, डिवाइड करने से रिमाइंडर इक्वल टू 0 आना चाहिए. ऐसा ही हम लोग modulus of 100 is equal to 0. In that case, we call leap equal to false. We call this leap as false when you divide it by 100. And then we write another statement which is again else if, and in this case we will compare the year which is divided by modulus of 4 because it comes for every 4 years. So that's how we work with your logic. Then we write it your leap equals to your true, and then we write the last option. If that is not available, then the last option that we have it is else. We call that as your leap equal to false. And we write the after this if statement is over, after this entire if ladder is over, after validating all of these things, finally if my leap is true, then it is my leap year. If it is false, then it is not a leap year. Now I'll just put it as if leap. If this leap is true by default, then I'll put it as system.out.println and I'll put it as year is a leap year. Else system.out.println year is not a leap year. So this is how we make sure that this year is a leap year or not. This is how we write our program in order to check whether the year is a leap year or not. Now we just go back to our code and just look at it. Enter the year. I wanted to enter the year as 2020. Once I enter it, see 2020 is a leap year. Now once we run this again, I call it as 2021. Now see 2021 is not a leap year. Similarly, I run it as 2022, which is not a leap year. So because this comes after every 4 years. So once we make it as 2024, once we run this, then see it is a leap year. This is how it will calculate your leap year, whether it will calculate or it will compute and check whether the accepted year is a leap year or not. First thing is you have to check whether the remainder is 0 or not. If it is remainder is 0, then it is a leap year. And if when you divide it by 100, if the remainder is 0, then it is not leap. Similarly, you have this condition which is year modulus 4 is equal to 0, or the entire logic can also be written as if if year is equal to year modulus 400 equal to 0 and year modulus 100 is not equal to 0 and year modulus 4 is equal to 0. You can also write a single if condition like this. You can write it as year modulus 400 is equal to 0, year modulus 100 not equal to 0 and your year modulus 4 is equal to 0. If at all you look at यहाँ पे हम लोग false कर रहे हैं, अगर यहाँ पे equal to में अगर नहीं डाल के अगर not equal to डालते हैं तो यहाँ पे हमको करना होगा इसको true. समझ गए हो? So that's how we can, instead of writing it as multiple if statements, you can also write it as your year modulus 4 is equal to 0, year modulus 100 is not equal to 0, year modulus 4 equal to 0. If this is true, then the year is a leap year directly. You can make it as, you can write it as system dot out dot println. You can write it as leap year. You can also do it like this, and you can write it as else it is not a leap year. You can write it this way. So I wanted, instead of writing this, I wanted to write it this way because you will understand multiple if statements, that is if else statements, and you understand how to integrate this code. Now I have shown you with multiple if statements. This multiple if statements can be written with AND statements. By using ANDs, you can make this entire logic written in 2 lines. See how many steps that we have written. These steps can be overwritten by just writing it as only this. And here you are writing one if else statements, and again you are starting another if else. Two if else's, I mean 2 if blocks are used, 2 multiple if else if blocks are used, but in this case you use only if and else. So I will send this program also, as we don't have much time. I will send doing this program also in your today's programs. Don't worry on that. This program also will be shared with you with only single condition for leap year. If else, बस उतना ही रहेगा. Multiple if else's नहीं रहेगा. I will do such program and also I will send it to you, which is very simple. Now you can correlate and understand. अगर मेरा अभी explanation अगर समझ में नहीं आया, फिर भी वो दोनों प्रोग्राम्स कंपेयर करके चेक कर लो, आपको समझ में आ जाएगा, राइट? सो दिस इज हाउ यू कैलकुलेट एन ईयर एज ए लीप ईयर, राइट? सो गिव मी अ सेकेंड, आई जस्ट कॉपी दिस ऑल्सो so that I can send it to you as today's programs. As this is much bigger, let me just put it in the notepad. Right, I'll keep it aside, I'll send it to you later. Right, so the next program that we see today is, we have already seen working with dates, right? Now we wanted to localize it. Yani if I wanted to tell you that 24th we have class for say only 10 minutes, assume I'm telling you an example, assume 24, that is called localization. We localize our communication. Instead of talking always by dates, we can tell tomorrow, day after tomorrow, yesterday, and so on. Our computer can also give this like this. With the help of your dates, you can localize your values. To localize that, we will see a small program and understand localization. So we will write a program to localize the the date. Localize the date. Now we just go ahead and write it. The program will be very simple, but the only new thing that you are supposed to do is you are supposed to import a new class called import java dot time dot your local date dot local date. This is a new class that you are supposed to use in your localization. You don't have this local date in your util, because of which it is mandatory that you should write this statement. Without this statement you cannot localize your date. Now what I'll do, I'll write it as local date. अगर देखो ये अगर निकाल देता हूँ, if at all I remove this, see my local date will give me an error. Once I have this done, once I put this import statement, I get the support of local date. Once I get the support of local date, then I can use it as local date dt equal to new, instead of creating an object, we just go ahead and use it as local date dot now, so that it will give me the current date and time. Now once I do this, if at all you want to print it, you can just go ahead and print it as your system dot out dot println. If at all you want to print this, I'll give it as dt. If at all I run this, see once I look at the output here, see it is giving me the localized format. It is giving me 2020-04-23. It is giving me only the date. This is why we use localization. Earlier when I'm using it as my date dt1 equal to new date, when I'm using it this way, and when I'm printing it as dt comma dt dt1, when I'll just put it as, I'll just take this and then I'll write another statement so that it will be there in the next line. Why do we unnecessary, otherwise we'll put it in the next line. Why unnecessarily? We don't learn new things, we'll learn it whenever it is required. So we'll put it as dt1. Now we have dt and dt1 available here. Once I run this, see dt1 is giving me the complete system date, which includes time and the kind of location that I'm in, which kind of time that I'm utilizing it, all that it is giving me. But localized date will give me only the localized date, that is only the year, month and day will be given. That's the advantage of using something called localization. Now we have got the localization. Now if at all you want to get it like your yesterday value and today's value and so on, then you can just go ahead and get it as, say, local date yesterday equal to local date dot, or you can put it as local date is already obtained, which is dt dot minus, if at all it is yesterday, then the minus should be 1. I should reduce 1 day from the yesterday's date. So this is how I give it as minus days. Minus, what is the minus that you wanted to do it? I want to reduce the days, which is your minus days, which is 1. I want to reduce 1 day, which I'll get it yesterday. So once I want to print my yesterday, I will print it as system dot out dot println, and then once I give it as yesterday and run it, see I'll get it for yesterday's localization. See, I'll get it yesterday localization by minus days. Similarly, if at all I want it for tomorrow, instead of yesterday, if at all I want it for tomorrow, then I can put it as local date space tomorrow equal to dt dot you can just put it as plus days, and you can put it as 1 day, so that it will give us it is today, it is yesterday, and then you get it for tomorrow. You will write it as system dot out dot println, and then we'll write it as tomorrow. So the tomorrow, I missed out semicolon. Now you get it for your tomorrow. Now see, this is how you can write your tomorrow. So yesterday was 20, yesterday it is current date today, and yesterday is 22, and today's date is, tomorrow's date is 24. So this is how you get your tomorrow. Similarly, you get your yesterday, and you get your today also. So this is how you utilize something called your local date. We localize the values. We can localize, we can add values, we can reduce values. Similarly, as we are working with days, you can also add with weeks, as we were also putting like minus, we were seeing it as week. So minus week 1. Once you run this, see, instead of yesterday, you get it a week back. You get it a week back. If at all you look at today is 23, exactly a week back it is 16. So that 16 is printed here, 16 for 2020. Similarly, you wanted to get it exactly a month back. Then once you run it, see, you will get exactly a month back. So that is your 23/3/2020. This is how you can plus or minus your dates with the help of something called local date. This is one of the interesting and easiest operation that you can do with the dates. Hope I am clear with this. This is what I wanted you to learn. We have some more programs on date time to understand more. Before that, so there will be a document that I'll share it with you today. You are supposed to remember all of this. You have to by heart all of this. I repeat, you have to by heart the entire table, because this table will tell me the date format. Say if it is year, then I should use a character called Y. If it is month, I should use a character called capital M. And there is a difference between capital M and a small m. See, capital M is month in year, and similarly minutes in hour is given as small m. So you should be very clear about these symbols. And we have been looking at something called day in week, day in year. See, that is because you have in calendar you have 365 days. Now you have days in years. So days in years are 365. So first day of January is called first day of the year, and it is also called first day of January. If at all you look at January 1st, 2020. Now this January 1st is called first day of 2020, and it is also called first day of January. So which means day of a month, day of an year, day of a week. This first is also called first week, first day. Similarly, day of week, day of month, and day of year is available. So that is what I have been showing you here. Whenever we were writing that code, we were mentioning it as whenever we are working with our Gregorian calendar, we were calling it as day of month, because we have day of week and we also have day of year also available. That representation, that conversions will be available here. So these are conversions from one value to the other value. This is your date time conversions, and these are your formats. These are your date formats, and these are your date time conversions. It is very important that you remember all of this, by heart all of this, mug up all of this date tomorrow. So today we have done basics of date. Tomorrow we learn all of this so that we complete the remaining concepts of date also. The document will be shared with all.